Hi everyone, my name is Brian. Actually, wait, I should share my screen first. That would be important. Hi everyone, my name is Brian, and this is my research project on media's effect on the food and health industry. So, does anyone here know the difference between brown rice and white rice? Probably not, right? And let's say like you're the rest of society that most people don't really know the difference. And picture this, and I'm the media. So, one day I tell you that brown rice should be eaten over white rice because it contains soluble fiber and helps you digest food better. And the next, I say that it's bad for you because it actually contains arsenic. And then one day I tell you you should eat white rice for dieting because it has lower calories. But the next I tell you that there isn't any nutritional value to white rice and you shouldn't eat carbs at all. Um, Information like this can be so taxing on someone that is trying to keep track of their health when the media is constantly changing what they perceive to be healthy. And this battle goes between not just rice, but pretty much everything. So the aim of my project is to research the effect that media has on the food and health industry. Why, you may ask? Media for years has created food and health issues through the spread of misinformation, but has also been a great source to learn about food and your health. So when my mom was battling like breast cancer, she was always very, very obsessed with her health. And ultimately that just came at the detriment of her health because she would follow these crazy claims of like cleanses that would magically cure cancer or things that would allow your hair to regrow after chemotherapy. But ultimately, you're stressed out more coming at the cost of your health. And my audience is to reach anyone that have had issues or problems that they want to solve and look to the help of media, but have faced like adverse effects because of it. And in doing so, I want to highlight some of these problematic topics for them and give them advice on where to stay away from. But also, I would like to highlight uh, key things to do. So often media tells you that in order to be skinny or in order to be jacked, you have to eat this certain diet. And often like diets look very, very plain, whether it be like straight mashed potatoes, broccoli, and just chicken breast, in order to look or a certain way. So some of my background information here is why, and I want to go into why social media is so harmful. So social media lends itself to bandwagoning. So an issue with social media is that trending videos get pushed to high priority. So whether a video has more likes or like thumbs up, they will get priority. And social media will use AI to make predictions about your preferred content. So it will flood your feed with similar information if you just click one video about it. So let's say you clicked one video about like dieting tips, it will give you a million videos about dieting tips, all that typically while like contrasting opinions and views, which can be very, very overwhelming to someone. And popular ideas, excuse me, in the community can thrive because of many people blindly agree to follow them. So because like these videos are getting more like likes, it just in psychology, if a lot more people do things, you will have a tendency to follow it because how could it be wrong if everyone else is following it, right? So an example of very harmful bandwagoning would be in September 2021 when Joe Rogan on his podcast explained his distrust of the COVID-19 vaccine. He basically said that the government was putting chips in it and that a better solution would be to use ivermectin, which is a horse tranquilizer. Uh, anyone would, I kind of would say with common sense would say, yeah, just don't take it. It's horse tranquilizer. It's not the vaccine. But thousands and thousands of people were taking ivermectin tablets, and many of them were being hospitalized, and many even died because of it. And um, it didn't really protect anyone against the COVID-19 vaccine, and it was just a really, really awful case of misinformation. So a statistic that I found really interesting was that 38.2% of people have admitted to accidentally sharing fake news. So they didn't know this news, like the news they were taking in was fake news, or um, they just didn't mean to like share it. And this is pretty low end of the statistic because this doesn't include the people that did it without knowing, or the people that did it because they actually believed it and don't think that it is fake news when it possibly could have been. So that just kind of leads to social media's spread of misinformation, lends itself to social media's spread of misinformation. So topic one I want to cover is how has the rise of social media influenced the food industry and what impact has it had on consumer preferences and behaviors? So for my primary research, I chose to research people that were my age to, I want to say, late 20s, because these people have been using technology and social media their whole lives, whether it be MySpace, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Reddit, even. Um, they have been using social media their whole lives, and it's not something new or any new information that social media has harmful effects on people. So, with that being said, and because they are data literate, quote unquote, they shouldn't be affected by the negative effects, right? Well, my information on that I took in proved otherwise. So for my research results, I looked into whether or not people had ever used social media as a main source of information, and 64.9% of people said yes. Um, and this is a pretty high statistic, and this also cons to lends to people that about 64.9% of people trust the information they get off social media. Um, and that's a pretty alarming amount considering 90.9% of people consider themselves data/social media literate, meaning that they are familiar with social medias and have been using social media for a long time. So theoretically, they should be knowing of their effects. Along on top of my research, I also asked the question, and I don't display it for privacy reasons, that a majority of people had cases where they talked about themselves developing eating disorders because of social media, or they talked about how someone looking a certain way made them feel discouraged because they saw someone ripped, they saw someone that was beautiful in their eyes and they didn't look like them. And these are people that are our age and people that know of these harmful effects. So they actually do affect people that are even data literate. So other effects it has on consumer behavior is that the more people set more sorry, let me back up. So there are pros and cons to both of these. So more people get into fitness because of social media, but it can also set unrealistic health standards, and often lead people to overestimate their ability, causing injury. So some person that's new to the gym might try to do the same exercise that like their favorite influencer does, but not realizing that their body isn't prepared to do it and might have a life-altering injury. In addition, it can pull knowledge on food and cooking and give advice in do's and don'ts, but it can also make people develop unhealthy eating habits and make people lose out on like essential vitamins they need when influencer just stresses to eat potatoes, chicken, and broccoli. That doesn't really give you the vitamins you need to function at your best that you possibly could. So that is definitely something that is very, very bad. Um, Another thing is that it can introduce people to new and helpful products, but oftentimes the influencers that do it, that do these promotions, do it to help these big companies sell these products and kind of take advantage of people when they're in like a vulnerable state, um, and are more of a cash grab rather than a beneficial product. Second topic that I would like to highlight is how does media set unrealistic health and eating standards due to lack of transparency to users? So before I get into that, I want to talk about what an eating disorder is. An eating disorder is any range of mental conditions in which there is a persistent disturbance of eating behavior and impairment of physical or mental health. So that could be someone dwelling on how many calories they're eating, like very, very strict calorie counting, and people that get anxiety of going over their amount because they're dieting, or people that feel the need to throw up the food because they are scared of the calories that they consume. And unlike many mental disorders that have like genealo- genealog genealogic factors that contribute to them. Sorry, like depression. Like for example, if your parents had depression, you're more inclined to have depression. Um, Eating disorders are mainly contributed to by social factors, and social media plays a big part in it because of lack of transparency. So to add on to how social media plays a part in this, unrealistic body standards get pushed all the time. Sometimes people take steroids to make themselves look a certain way or put on a filter. And that's what I'm going to get into right now. And AI algorithms don't accurately assess what your interests are. So whether you like it or not, and you kind of tell it that you don't want to see this content for your own mental health, you are still forced upon like this, or you're still forced to consume this content because people aren't going to sacrifice social media because everyone has it. So these are the two examples I was talking about. Sometimes people have filters that hide the blemishes that they have, which by societal standards are ugly. And because people may see someone that looks like the lady on the left all the time, they may feel like there's something wrong with them. In addition, someone that might be chasing a better physique might go to advice of a influencer like Liver King. So he has a crazy physique, and he promoted that in order to get this physique, he ate high amounts of organ meats, and that's what led to his muscle growth, but later revealed that it was steroids, and that led to a lot of people just eating things that they didn't want to eat, which also had a big mental effect on them overall. Another huge glaring example of this is Dr. Oz. So back in 2012, he pushed for his product, the purple pill, and it's labeled here as the Oxy Elite Pro because it's still actually even being sold despite its health issues. It was approved by the FDA and everything. So he told people that by taking this pill and eating minimal amounts of food, you'll lose weight like crazy. And some people did, but others took it to the really far extreme and lost um, their lives because of taking these pills. And that's because they didn't actually work, and some of the blends of it were actually very harmful to people. And despite that, and because of his cult following and the way that kind of the media builds, like, I guess, these groups of people that support, he was able to run for the Senate in Pennsylvania, and he almost even won despite everything he already did, because social media has ability to, I guess, cloud like the negative information. I know, like, when I was doing the research for this project, I even had a hard time finding the source that talked about this because media had clouded it so much. So it's kind of similar to along the lines of how um, the correct answer or the science-backed answer can also be clouded media. So another glaring issue that social media has is its ability to create polarizing points of views. So I don't know if anyone knows these two, but on the left is Princess Diana, and on the right, that is Karen Carpenter. So what was so different about these two? Both had eating disorders, but Princess Diana was viewed as a champion of women's rights for talking about her eating disorder, while Karen Carpenter, when she was talking about her struggles with her body and her body image, people referred to her as being weak for succumbing to societal pressures and weak for not being able to deal with what she had to do in order to maintain the way that she looked. Um, so, and this kind of created like an antagonizing force because these two points of views would constantly battle against one another. So the idea of body positivity was pushed, but this polarization was also pushed. And this harmfulness continues even today. So Princess Diana and Karen Carpenter weren't the first instance of it, but they are a very large factor to the issues growing. So the idea of body positivity and moderation is a great thing, but when taken to an extreme extent, it can be very harmful. Like if someone justifies that they're morbidly obese, saying they're perfectly healthy the way they are, and that they're pushing for body positivity, when in reality that isn't healthy. And someone that is very anorexic pushes and says that they are beautiful the way they are because of body positivity, but in reality they are severely shortening their lifespan. And this becomes an even larger issue when influencers develop that have to fall into these categories because they normalize the idea of being morbidly obese or normalize the idea of being anorexic. And that's not to say that it's not okay to be um to be these ways, but it shouldn't be normalized for the sake of people's health because it comes at the risk of harming others. Obviously, people can do what they want, it's their own lives, but as an influencer, you have an effect on people's opinions and people's actions. So that's something to take into account of. And all these opinions have created a term that I would like to coin as body rivalry. So media for the longest time have painted like men looking very muscular as a perfect and having a perfect physique as being the ideal like male body type, and women that have like an hourglass figure and have like a certain like face shape being the ideal body type. And they would kind of indirectly shame other people that didn't look this way. But body rivalry that's been overemphasized by the media is kind of like this, and then people that look any type of way, whether it be morbidly obese to very anorexic and anywhere in between, shame other people for not looking like them and say things like, oh, you're fat phobic for not wanting to eat this food, or oh, you need to lose weight because you need to go to the gym, yada yada yada, and it kind of creates this very very divisive like aspect of social media where people can even further justify um, their health issues, whether they be morbidly obese or extremely anorexic, uh, because people are pushing against them and they feel the need to defend their way of life. So all this is kind of grim. I understand that, and it kind of makes you not want to ever use social media again. But there are actually beneficial aspects of social media. So increased cultural awareness. I misspelled awareness, so that's my bad. But uh, better cooking and food literacy, health motivation, and injury recovery, like injury or problem like recovery. So a problem that I didn't highlight earlier was that um, oftentimes media also has an effect on the food industry in appropriating culture. Um, so here is like a TikTok video that I found that I feel like really exemplifies that. So if I could just share this. Oh, sorry, didn't mean to do that. Open this. And so that's also another issue that the food industry can have because it can appropriate people's cultures and kind of spread misinformation how their cultures actually are, and um, oftentimes kind of misuse it just to sell, like, or misuse it in the terms of like big companies can use their culture to sell something rather than actually spread cultural awareness to bring people together. And this is actually how I see a lot of content on social media when they talk about Chinese food. For me personally, it's just so awfully wrong that it sounds as ridiculous as her explaining American food to other people. So some I also wanted to highlight some very, very impactful, like beneficial food influencers and food and health influencers. So on the left, this is Chris Broad. He has a job where he travels all around Japan and gives real information about the country. He isn't afraid to talk about like glaring issues in the country, whether it be like misogyny, and he doesn't like sugarcoat anything. Oftentimes, when he doesn't fully understand or grasp a topic, because at the end of the day, he isn't Japanese and hasn't lived in Japan his whole life, despite living there for about, I want to say 9, 10 years now, he brings in someone that actually is Japanese to talk about culture and can share like ideas about food and why things have such important cultural impacts, which in turn inspire people to learn more about the culture, which kind of affects their food as well, or is affected by their food. On the right is Alton Brown, and I don't know if any of you here know him, but he's most known for his role on the show Good Eats. So his show was airing in the early 90s and late 90s and early 2000s. And at the time, food information wasn't nearly as accessible as now. You would have to like talk to a dietitian, but even sometimes they would have wrong information. Um, and you would have like certified like nutritionists online to be able to help you. So a lot of media were pushing fad diets and were able to make lots of money pushing like their products or pushing to people to consume certain foods for like nutritional purposes. But he basically debunked many different misconceptions about food and cooking, and kind of gave real information um, through, and he also backed it by science while making it entertaining, which affected like millions and millions of people. On the left here is So You Fit. So on her account, she uses her experience from her health science degree to highlight some sustainable exercises and dieting practices. So she has helped tens of thousands of people with her idea of don't restrict but add. So it's the idea that, and her idea has also been a huge impact to reducing the effects of binge eating for people. So it's the idea that you can still have the foods that you want as long as you add something to it that makes it more nutritious. So let's say if you're eating a cookie, you can add some like Greek yogurt for protein and good bacteria to help with gut health. Or if you want to eat a steak, you could mix it in with a salad and other vegetables to get other nutrients in there that you wouldn't normally get with it. And that being healthy doesn't have to be like an all or nothing practice. And there's a healthy medium where that's sustainable and actually helps people. There's been tens of thousands of people expressed to her that they've helped them lose a lot of weight and helped them lower their cholesterol or help them with their diabetes or a variety of different health issues and concerns they're dealing with. On the right is Quant University. He posts information about strength and mobility to help people recover and prevent future injury. So personally, this one hits close to home because I had a injury in my back and I went to physical therapy and ended up spending an arm and a leg for it, and it didn't do anything. But upon looking at his exercises and taking a real, like doing a lot of comprehensive research alongside it, I was able to reduce it to a manageable amount that I can go back to doing the exercises that I really, really enjoy. So these are all some other influencers that I would love to highlight. Benjamin with Babish talks basically was a gateway for many people to be into cooking. Keith Lee allows for restaurants to thrive again by giving these food reviews. So let's say like they didn't have the best marketing or they weren't performing, like they weren't bringing enough money to stay afloat. He always would help them out by reviewing their place and also like sending people to go give them business. And overall, like influencers on TikTok, despite having to weed through a lot of the trashy ones a lot of the time, there are people that are often very, very passionate about what they do and can share their love of food to teach people about other people's cultures, which is really, really important. And Lee Xin Yuan does the same thing where she teaches people about like Vietnamese culture and makes kind of loops people in with her like very, very entertaining content at first, but then also points out like a large overarching message after that. Um, but mind you, these influencers might not have the same impact on you as they did for me. But in general, the rule of thumb that I'm trying to push here is that you should go for take information from influencers that are certified. For example, Sohi Fit and Squad University both have health science degrees and give reason for people to follow them. And all these people, all these influencers, if you don't necessarily like their content, they give other examples of other people to go watch or give alternatives and also give backing to a lot of just the stuff they do in general. So you can be sure that the information they give you is correct in comparison to some of the other ones, other bad influencers that I highlighted before, like Joe Rogan and Liver King that spread all this misinformation. Ultimately, one's consumption of media is up to your own. I'm not going to force anyone to change the way that they consume social media after this, but I want to give the opportunity to people that were struggling and people that are having a hard time coming to terms with issues. Um, I want to highlight a way for them to use social media as a tool to help achieve them. And yeah, that's my presentation. Thank you so much.